Alrighty, everybody. Thought you'd get a little tired of that black or that boring background, so I'm trying to dress it up a little bit and get into the holiday spirit. It's birthday holiday spirit, but whatever. Anyway, Tom is here. We're going to do a quick, short chat. We want to address the difficulty of this particular storm. What's gone on that's been changing, what really hasn't, whether a forecaster should stick to his guns, and at what point, new information comes in that truly warrants a change in the forecast. So, with that, Tom, what's your best guess at what you see happening starting tomorrow night into Tuesday?
Well, like we were talking about, what was it, Thursday night, Bill? Confidence is high that we are going to have a white Christmas over much of southern Minnesota, probably a good chunk of Minnesota, especially southern and eastern Minnesota, and then a northern half of Wisconsin, maybe even the northwestern two-thirds of Wisconsin. So basically the whole region should get some snow. First off, there's no doubt that this is going to be a wet snow. Okay, temperatures are going to be hovering in the low 30s, and we're not going to drop much further than that over the next 24 to 48 hours. So this is going to be a wet snow. It's going to be a slushy snow. It's going to be a heavy snow in some places. So one of those shovel-breaking type snows, because if we can get 3, 4, 5 inches of snow, but it's that wet, sloppy stuff, that's hard to shovel, so people need to keep that in mind. To get something off my chest, Bill, you and I were talking about this. It just kind of bothers me in the weather industry that there's so much flip-flopping. Sometimes I'm a culprit too, but if there's one thing that I really try to preach, at least in what I do, it's stick to your guns until maybe that last second when you're forced to change your mind or your attitude about what's going on.
It'd be like the Vikings sticking with the running game plan until they're down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Right. Until you are forced to change your thoughts, just stick with it. Kind of go with it. That's what I try to do. I know sometimes, again, I'm also at fault with this, but what I've seen, especially with this storm, it's just been odd. And granted, the models have been all over the place. This has been a very difficult storm to predict. But what I've seen a lot over the last 2 to 3 days is flip-flopping from a ton of people, and we're going to see. I'm going to bet that a lot of people are going to start talking snow now tonight, and if they do, they will have flopped. And then who knows, come tomorrow, maybe they'll start pulling back again, and that's, to me, that's confusing. It's confusing to the public, and I get where the public's coming from because there are so many cooks in the kitchen, and it can become a problem. So anyway, that's coming off that. I'm getting that off my chest, Bill.
No, it's good. Good.
Yeah, and if I flip-flop a lot, Bill, you tell me and write me, okay?
All right.
All right. So let's get to some model discussion, right? First thing I'm going to show you is the jet stream. And this has been our biggest nightmare, and this is the reason why everybody has been kind of in the dark, at least with what's going to happen with the storm system, because, Bill, look at the powerhouse jet that is streaming into the west coast of the United States, right into Washington. And that is a problem because I don't think the models have done a very good job over the last 2 to 3 days of at least determining how these strong winds are going to impact surface and low-level features in the upper Midwest. Now, this jet structure is for Tuesday morning. Still, again, strong winds coming off the west coast and digging into the central and southern plains. That usually blows up a storm system over the upper Midwest and plain states. And that appears to be what's going to happen as we head into Tuesday morning. Now let's just put this jet into motion at least a little bit, or at least go into Wednesday. And you can see this jet and this trough moves east. So by Wednesday, the storm should be out of our hair, but between that time, between now and Wednesday afternoon, which is when this jet feature that you see here, this the time frame for this jet feature is Wednesday afternoon. Between now and Wednesday morning, we're likely going to get snow here in the upper Midwest. And
just holding on that screen there, or go back one.
Yep.
Yeah. So that purple reddish color that kind of comes through, Wisconsin, I guess there. The purple is, what do those colors represent again?
Those are lighter winds. Now what you want to look at are these yellows and sometimes even these oranges here. Those are strong winds that the jet level. So we're talking
Okay.
about 25, 30,000 feet in the atmosphere. And we're always looking for these buckles in the jet stream.
Yeah.
And even on Wednesday, we still have this buckle in the Midwest, but by then it's starting to move east of Minnesota. But let's just go back one more time, and let's go back to early Tuesday morning, and you can clearly see, this is at about 4 a.m. Tuesday morning, a large buckle in this jet stream, and look at these strong winds coming into the Rocky Mountains. This is why the computer models are having such a tough time determining what's going to happen with the storm, because it has to figure out how these strong winds are going to interact with this trough. And that's a very difficult thing to do, especially when you're 3, 4, 5 days out of the storm hitting you. Now that the storm has finally come ashore tonight, you're going to see these computer models start to latch on to a solution and a consensus, and I think that consensus is going to be snow over a good chunk of southern and eastern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and northern Iowa. And let's just take a look, by the way. We're going to go to the NAM computer model. This is the latest computer model run from the NAM. This is the 00 Zulu computer model run. And what we're looking at is 850 millibar temperatures, Bill. And this is one of the big problems also with this storm system, is that there's just simply a lot of warm air for this time of the year for this storm system to overcome and to produce snow. Okay, now we're looking at the light blue line, and of course that's where usually the rain-snow line is located, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. That's what the light blue line contour indicates. Okay, now this is Monday afternoon. You can see here in southern Minnesota, it looks like we're going to have at least the potential for a mix of rain and snow on Monday afternoon. Now watch what happens as we go through time. Here's Monday evening at about midnight, and then we have Tuesday afternoon. Now you can see by Tuesday afternoon we are certainly cold enough, at least in the lower layers of the atmosphere, for snow. And you can see a pretty wound up storm system at 850 millibars located over the southeast corner of Minnesota or southwestern Wisconsin. Usually it's to the northwest of that 850 millibar low is where you get the stripe of snow, what we call the deformation axis. Okay, so if we were to look at this computer model and this solution, you could pretty much bet that a strip of fairly heavy but wet snow will likely develop late Monday night and into Tuesday morning and afternoon from probably around Mason City, Iowa, maybe even Sioux City, northeast to near Hayward, Wisconsin, and that would mean right through the Twin Cities metro. Now, even at 700 millibars, Bill, if we look at where that 700 millibar low is located, and this will be Tuesday morning, this is 10 a.m. Tuesday, a 700 millibar low located over northeastern Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin, and these yellow areas here, green and yellow areas, that's fairly intense lift in our atmosphere, which means some significant precipitation will be likely falling over southeastern and east central Minnesota and then much of northern Wisconsin by Tuesday morning. So there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm just putting the 700 millibar forecast map into motion, there's no doubt in my mind that a strip, a fairly solid area of snow is going to form over southern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Do you have a first guess on accumulations, or is that something?
I do, and this is going to be hot off the press, but before I show you the accumulations, I want to show you why I've come up with these accumulations. And what we're looking at now is the NAM computer model again now. This is the 00 Zulu model run, so hot off the press. And what we're looking at is or at least projected radar summary over the next 48 hours. Okay, this is for tonight. Now just watch what happens. We have a little bit of a lull in the activity. This is tomorrow morning at about drive time, commute time tomorrow morning. And I want you to focus now as we go through the day what happens over Nebraska, Missouri, and Iowa. Okay. You can see a large area of precipitation now developing by Tuesday evening over basically all of the upper Midwest and Midwest. And take a look at what's happening in southern Wisconsin. This is some fairly heavy shower activity over southern Wisconsin on Monday evening. Now look at what happens to this area of precip and how it pivots. Very important. This is how it pivots. When we talk about a deformation axis, Bill, that is that pivot axis that develops as a storm matures. And that pivot axis, you can see, develops right over southwestern Wisconsin during the day Tuesday. Again, let me put this in motion. Here's Monday night, and now here's Tuesday evening. Hopefully you could see how that precipitation pivots over southwestern Wisconsin, and the swath in what would be likely heavy wet snow would develop from about northern Iowa through about the eastern half of Minnesota, and then a large chunk of northern Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So just judging by that, at least expected evolution of the radar, of a radar summary from the NAM computer model, that is why I've come up with some of the snow totals now that you're going to be seeing momentarily. Bill, I can't take that hat. My God, that thing is. I hope you see that.
You want me to
By the way,
switch?
it's not New Year's yet. It's Christmas. You should have a Christmas hat on.
I just don't see one on the Google effects.
Well, we'll have to get you a Christmas hat, Bill, because that is ridiculous. Here's the snow totals. Now, this is going to change, okay? But this is my best guess at this point. And I know this is a little shocking, especially when you think about temperatures 32, 34 degrees. You know, I will be shocked if somebody gets hammered with 6 to 8 inches of snow, but I have to go by what these computer models are showing me at this, especially at this stage of the game, Bill. And there, to me, there's no doubt that there's going to be some fairly significant snow from about Mason City, Iowa, up 35W, and then up, probably along the Highway 63 corridor in western Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota. So, and then that goes north into the Twin Cities, and then of course north up to Duluth, and then east a little bit past Hayward. So that's
yep.
The bullseye.
I'm always curious. There's my new look, by the way. Do you like that better?
Better.
I've gone to the dogs. You know, other forecasters like the Capital Weather Game out of Washington, they'll do things like sort of a bell curve. So they would say, you know, they think there's a 50% chance of what they're showing actually happening, and there might be, you know, a 30% chance that there's less, and a 20% chance that there's even more. Can you give us any sense of either uncertainty and if the error would be more likely to be on the low side or the high side?
Well, I mean, I'm certain. I'm about 100% certain that there's going to be wet snow over eastern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. Okay, so I don't know if that helps you right there. Now, how certain am I that there's going to be 6 to 8 inches plus of snow? Well, that's a real tough mark to reach, especially when you're talking temperatures 32, 33, 34 degrees. But I'm thinking over 50% likelihood that could happen in this area that you see here, especially over northwestern Wisconsin. And then yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so people wake up on Christmas morning, and are you still pretty confident they're going to have the official inch of snow?
In the Twin Cities?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm 100% certain, or 99% certain, that a white Christmas is going to be in the Twin Cities by Wednesday morning. So I hope that makes a lot of people feel good. I know it makes me feel good. I love snow. I think it's a shame if you don't have snow during Christmas. And hopefully a good chunk of the upper Midwest gets in on the snow, which it looks like that could happen here over the next 48 hours. So, you know, let's hope for it, right?
So tomorrow night at this time, you have more certainty of what you're expecting, right?
Oh, definitely. As each computer model run comes in, we're going to become more certain about what's going to happen. The storm has come ashore, so that's the good news. The model data has been able to sample this storm a lot better here with this latest run. I'm still waiting for the GFS model to come in. That's coming in right about now. The European model comes in at about midnight tonight, so those will also shed some light. But there's been now some consensus, Bill, just lately in the last couple of model runs here, some consensus that area of snow is going to hit southern and eastern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. And quite frankly, as we were talking on Thursday, Bill, last Thursday, that's kind of where we were thinking that snow was going to line up in the first place. And the jet structure hasn't changed at all. And I think that's why the storm is now starting to behave. At least the way
Real quickly, Tom, there's been some talk about a sizable storm after Christmas. Do you see that at all?
No. I mean, maybe an inch or two of snow over extreme southern Minnesota, but I think there was a lot of jumping the gun on that storm. So remember, some people were hyping that storm almost 7 days in advance.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy to hype a storm 7 days in advance.
Yeah.
I get worried when I hype a storm that's 4 or 5 days in advance. So, but anyway, I just don't see a massive storm system for Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. All right, Tom. Anything else?
That's it, Bill.
All right. Well, perhaps we will possibly check back tomorrow night and see if you have any fine-tuned thoughts. Otherwise, this is what we will enter onto the ballot.
All right. Yeah, we'll know a lot more tomorrow night. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, let's hope for Christmas, Bill.
Yep. Thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.